One of the most common things with regard to PowerPoint is the presentation of images of various kinds. Oftentimes, in a case, you may have 100 images that need to go into 100 separate slides. That is a very common occurrence where you have a bunch of photographs or graphics that need to go one slide after another, and you can insert them one at a time. But of course that's a pretty time-consuming process. So one technique that's very useful is to insert the images into what is called a photo album, and that's what we're going to be doing as a part of this session. And then after you get the images onto slides, various permutations that can happen to those images that you might need to perform some operations on the images themselves to improve them, to decorate them, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to go in and see how all this works. I'm going to bring up a PowerPoint presentation here. And this one that I've been just chewing on here to show you some examples has some images that I've inserted onto the slide. And I've inserted them in various ways and cropped them and so on. And then here's another slide here that has a background that's kind of faded, and then I've got this couple here in front of it. And then here's another slide with some images that I've inserted into shapes. So let me go to and start a new blank slide here. And let's go ahead and just insert one image onto this slide. And so I'll go to my picture folder, and I'll come down to get an image of this harmonica player. So here's the picture, and one thing that you most likely will want to do with a lot of photographs especially is crop them so that you have some extraneous things that are in the image that you don't want. Like over here we have some object, and we've got a lot of blank spot over here. So let's say we just want to simply crop it. So once you click on an image, I'm going to click off of it. Right now you don't see the crop image option, but when you click on an image, you'll get the format screen will come up, the pull-down menu, and over here will be the cropping option. So if you just pick the plain crop option here, what PowerPoint does is put these little handles on the corners and on the sides and on the top and the bottom. And to crop the image, you need to hover. I'm going to crop from this edge over toward the fellow that's playing the harmonica. And I have to be careful that I don't have a four-headed arrow or have this sort of equal sign here. I want to make sure I'm right over this little black crop tool, and then hold my left mouse button down, and then I will drag that in. So here I am dragging it over. And then I'm going to do the same over here and grab that one. And there's a little bit of top dead space up there. I'll get that. Once I get it cropped the way I go back and click on my crop tool. And then I can adjust the image size. You have to be careful now. Watch what happens if I grab one of these handles on the side and try to shrink the image. It distorts it. So these are handles you want to kind of stay away from. I'm going to undo what I just did there. And what I want to do is shrink the image, but I want to grab one of the corner points, hold my shift key down, and then drag toward the center of the image so it keeps its proportionality. So I can put my image somewhere on the screen. Now, in order to, I'm going to make this a little bit larger for you, push this over. When you're working with an image, you can grab this divider that shows your slides and just kind of move it over that way so you have more screen space to work with. And then once I've got the image where I want it, let's say there's some other things I want to do to it to tidy it up a little bit. One of the things that I could do is, if I think the image is not adequate in terms of brightness, contrast, I can right button click on the image, as I did here, and pick Format Picture. And then you have this sidebar menu that opens up. And one of the options here is you can do effects to it. You can size and do properties. You can do a fill with lines and so on. But really what I want to do is work with the picture itself. So I click on this option, and then you have picture correction. You click this little arrow here, and then you can sharpen the image up if it's a little blurry. This sometimes will help. You can move it over to the right to sharpen it. You've got to be careful with this, because you go too far, it gets a little bit granulated, as you can see what happened there. But it is a handy tool if you've got an image that's a little bit out of whack in terms of focus. So you can try to sharpen it up a little bit by moving this toggle to the right. And then if you have a problem with brightness or contrast, you can use the image adjustments here to move it over to the right to increase your contrast. And once you get that adjusted the way you want it, you can take a look at it. And if you don't like what's happened, you can go to your undo feature up here and go back to what you had before. So your brightness is here. You can increase it. And then you can increase your contrast to get it adjusted the way you think is best. You can also mess with the picture color. If you click here, so you can play with your saturation and increase the saturation if you think that will help the image. I don't think it does in this case, so I'll turn that off. Or the temperature is another adjustment. You can move this up a little bit. And again, all this is a matter of taste, and it depends on the image as to what you want to do there. Once you get it the way you want it, then you can push this over to the right again, get it out of the way, and maybe increase the size of the image a little bit more. You can see it better. So those are a few things that you can do with the adjustments when you right button click and you pick Format. Now up here, we have some other options that we can work with. And again, you have correction buttons up here, as well as right button clicking and getting it over on the side. So you can use these options as well. Now, I have a picture border option. I can click that, and I'll pick a color. And then it gives me a little bit of an outline around the image. But I can pick these options to do a double frame if I want to work with it that way. And you have a pull-down menu here with a bunch of other options as well. So let's just click on a few of these to see what kind of framing we can do with the image. You get a reflection coming down, and then a heavy dark frame. And as you hover over these, you can see down below the effect it will have on the image itself, without having to actually click them to apply them. So once you come and settle in on one of these options that you think will work with that particular image, you can just click on that to choose it. I'll click that one, and then position the image where I want it to be. So those are a few things that you can do with the framing options. Under picture effects, you can pick a glow option as well and get some glow going around the frame that you've chosen, like so. There's a lot you can do. A lot you can do with the image, with all of these peculiar settings here. Now I'm going to insert another image to work with. Get some more of the harmonica folks here. And maybe we'll pick this couple here. And again, I'm going to resize. I'll hold the shift key and I'm going to drag in to the center of the image to get it there. Now that I showed you how to crop before with this tool, but look at this little option here. This option gives you a chance to crop to a shape. So you have all these different shapes that you can use for cropping as well. So I'm going to kind of take a look at what these might do to that image and see what I could choose here. I have this what looks like a vertical scroll. I'll pick that, and you can see it crops the image into the scroll itself. And then if I pick the outline of that image, if I want to do a picture border, I get black, you can see it puts a little edge around the scroll so you can see the scroll a little bit better. So that might be some kind of an effect that you'd like to do, but you can crop it in all these different shapes. So if you didn't like that, you could come back and pick another shape that would seem to work for you, and find one that seems appropriate for the particular image that you're working with. And over here, you can pick your glow options again, soft edges. Bring this back over.